Well, good evening. Good evening. Uh, this is awesome, and that's all I can say. And the reason I have to articulate it that way is DeKalb County is about to change the conversation on economic development. You can already feel it coming. And the first way we thought all of these organizations and the people could get together to change that conversation is to bring the stakeholders together in order to have a distinguished dialogue. So I'm going to do a couple of housekeeping items, and then I'm going to tell you something and have a seat. First of all, we'd like to make sure that everyone remembers, just like in a movie theater, don't disturb the people next to you. Please turn off your cell phones. All right. But also, we wanted to make sure that you could understand the context of the conversation. We want to hear the voices that come from DeKalb County in many disparate parts, because that's the only way we're going to progress forward into the future. I happen to be one of the few people that have the pleasure of being on the board of Leadership DeKalb, the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce, and serving as the chairman of the Development Authority. And I see all of you and all of the people who put their time and effort forward in order to move the county forward. What this conversation is about is you. This is not about CIDs. This is not about opportunity zones. This is not about TADs. This is not about tools. This is about us. And we want to make sure that you bring your thoughts, your energy, and your minds here in this distinguished dialogue so that we collectively can make the best and most ideal DeKalb County that we can. So with that, I want to introduce to you our moderator for this evening. We all know her, and we've read her thoughts and ideas, and we thought she could really bring to bear a neutral perspective and help us meet her through some of these issues. And so we are fortunate to have one of the most respected journalists in Metro Atlanta, Maria Saporta. Maria has a deep knowledge of the region's past and present, and hopefully she'll be a great stakeholder to help us move DeKalb County into the future. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our distinguished moderator for this evening, Maria Saporta.
Can y'all hear me? I guess, there we go. I would like to just tell you a little bit more about myself. I spent 27 years with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, most of that time as its business and civic columnist. Now I write for the Atlanta Business Chronicle, and I also have my own website called supporterreport.com. And I would love for y'all to subscribe. It's free. Just go to the website, and you know, I promise you only get one email a week, and hopefully it's well worth your time to read it. I'm delighted that y'all asked me to come and be part of this tonight. I think that, you know, if you are to read the news about DeKalb, one would say, what a place. And what I'd like to have us do tonight is to try and leave here and say, okay, this is the way we move forward in a constructive and positive way. And we would like to have all of y'all be part of that conversation and help us figure out the best path forward. We're going to start that conversation with our interim CEO, Lee May. If you can come join me up here next to me. Well, actually, I was going to have you sit here, and then we're going to have the panel join us in just a few minutes. Excuse us as we... Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay. You have been involved in the economic development world for many years now, and I know on the commission that was a special area of focus for you. Can you talk about what it is you see and you have seen about what uh, DeKalb County should do, has done, and what it can do differently in the area of economic development.
Well, first let me thank Leadership DeKalb Chamber, and the Development Authority for bringing this together. I think it's a good opportunity to have this conversation about the future. And in terms of looking at our county and learning from the past, I think we have to begin with having a unified vision moving forward. You know, there's a scripture. I'm a man of faith, as many of you all know me. And there's a scripture in Proverbs that says, "A people without a vision will perish." Many of us know that. But then there's another scripture in a little small book in the Old Testament from Habakkuk, and it says to write the vision and make it plain. And I think what we've suffered in DeKalb County is being able to have, number one, a unified vision, and then two, just simply writing that vision down and moving it forward so that all the key players involved, organizations like the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce and Leadership DeKalb and the Development Authority can coalesce around a unified vision and a plan to move it forward. And I think once we get that one simple fact in place that we understand that is what we need to do, I think this county will begin to progress and move forward in a dynamic way.
There was a time when DeKalb County was the darling, the Gwinnett County of the region, even though I know we probably don't want to be compared to Gwinnett. But at a time, it was where companies were moving to, it was where the growth was, it was where residential population was leaving the central city and moving to DeKalb. And y'all enjoyed tremendous growth, and I'm, looking back a few decades ago.
Yeah.
And now, DeKalb has experienced the same issues that a lot of older urban counties and regions have experienced. What would you say is a way to help unify and have a unified vision? Because from my perspective, all too often it seems like people want to divide North DeKalb and South DeKalb.
Yes.
How does one bring that unified vision together?
Well, it's funny. There's always these factors, these factions that come together and want to have that divide placed forward. I sat in our Board of Commissioners meeting, even though I'm in this acting role as CEO. I sat with our board at their board meeting for the entirety of their board, which is traditionally not done. And I sat during a public comment.
You're kind of an insider, outsider.
I'm kind of the
right
insider
now.
and outsider, exactly. So I sat at public comment, and there were this meeting, a lot of comments about senior centers being built around the county. So you had one woman that came to the podium and was just talking bad about how slow this senior center, the northern part of the county, is going on, and then you had a few that came behind her that echoed that. Then another one came, and they were talking about how fast the senior center on the south side was moving forward. Then there was one on the south side of the county and said, we don't even have one on the south side of the county, and at least you got one on the north side of the county. So what we have to do is, in situations like that, we have to be able to come together and sit down and have a conversation about what are the real needs of this county. What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Business folks, a SWOT analysis of what we need to do to move forward. And we have to put behind us kind of these territorial factions, cities against the county or counties against the city, areas looking to incorporate or not, and north, south, east, west, black, white, Republican, Democrat. We major in dividing ourselves. Mm-hmm. And until we as leaders, whether we're on the school board, whether we're on the county government, city government, we have to be able to come together and move forward a unified vision. And I'll give a good example of that. We have not had a vision for DeKalb County, as I've stated before, in quite a long time in terms of economic development. We have not had a strategic economic development plan. in the entire time I've been on the board, probably in not 10 or 12 years. And we're finally taking on the efforts of bringing in someone who's a professional at doing that and helping us to create a strategic economic development plan for our county. But
I
at the
guess
same
you're
time,
talking about Luz Barrero.
Luz Barrero
Okay,
is, yes,
so,
yes,
all right.
she's leading that way.
Okay.
But at the same time, we're also in conversations through Luz Barrero, who, if you all know, you'll hear from her a little later.
Second panel.
At the same time, we're having a conversation with the Development Authority to see how we can unify our economic development efforts and
And
invest
that is
into that
actually
program.
now part of the agenda and I mean, y'all are considering legislation going forward
As we
to create.
speak right now.
Right, to create.
Hadn't been done. It's a wonderful opportunity to say we're going to get out of our silos. We're going to pull everyone together and utilize the best tools in our toolkit in order to be a proactive county
So
that
it's
will
a
attract business.
public-private initiative, is that the way you look at it?
That's the
Where
way, yeah. And
where
there's models like this around, and it's not completed as of yet, but we're in the midst of negotiating what that looks like, and that's critical, but because it's something different, something we have not done in the past, and we're finally saying this is not us at the county, this is not you at the Development Authority or you at the chamber. It's us together and pulling together the best that we have in a unified effort to move forward.
Someone, Dawn, was it you talking about how unusual it is to have a standing room only crowd to talk about economic development? Obviously, we're hitting something, you know, it has been a rough, how many years is it now going? 3 or 4 or 5 years for the economy. And everyone talks jobs. Everybody talks, you know, when are we going to see the real jump start to the economy? And, you know, a lot of folks say, well, this has been a jobless recovery. How, and then you talk about the disparity of incomes that exist and how, and who's the bad person who left their phone on? If anyone has, and wants to double check to make sure you have your phone on silent, now's a good time to do it. And I think that the disparities is one of the key issues that DeKalb faces with certain geographic areas of the county and also in terms of the racial makeup. How is this new economic development initiative in your way going to help remedy that disparity?
Well, you have to look at where the needs are in the county. Again, through this strategic planning effort, I think you see where the needs are, where those opportunities are in the county. You put resources where the resources are needed, and if you can wipe away this whole notion of this part of town gets more money than this part of town, well, you know, in certain scenarios, it makes sense to invest where the need is. And so if you're looking at where there are infrastructure, transportation needs, you know, that's one, you know, area that you can look at. If you look at where there's parks needs or needs for libraries or needs for infrastructure in public safety, new firehouses and things like that. If you look at it from the lens of where the needs truly are, and if they're not in District 5, which is my district, as long as I can understand the rationale behind how investments are made, and everyone can be happy that as a county needs are being met, I think, you know, we can move forward and dampen down some of the dividing tones that are out there.
Well, beauty is often in the eyes of the beholder. And so from District 5's point of view, something may look really important
Yes.
to you that from another district might not seem that way. And I guess how does one try and get the whole county to understand that what's good in District 5 or 1 or whatever is good for the whole county? And this point hit home on a regional basis for me, and I know you just got sworn in on the ARC board. On the T-SPLOS vote, Bucky Johnson said to me, well, the reason it failed is, you know, everyone in the suburbs thought everything was gonna happen in town. And people in town thought all the money was gonna be going out in the suburbs. And so there's, again, the beauty in the eyes of the beholder. How does one create that sense that we are all in this together? And, you know, is that up to having people who can rise above?
Well, it starts with this. My wife is a marriage counselor. Well, not
Okay.
just, she's a therapist.
So we need a therapist.
We need a
for our
therapist. We need a therapist. And she practices on me, of course.
Okay.
Lays me on the couch, and but she always talks about building healthy relationships. You build healthy relationships through constant communication and dialogue. You can only have that communication, that dialogue, when you're physically present to have that interaction. You know, and so the divisions occur when we are just simply not physically in a room together to be able to have this dialogue. And I'll give you just a simple example with my colleagues on the Board of Commissioners. As I took this role, I immediately put the office where the other CEOs have been in years past to physically be in the presence of the commissioners, because our form of government, and y'all have heard my thoughts on our form of government, and this is not that conversation, but our form of government only works. We'll be there all day.
Okay, yeah.
Our form of government only works when we are in constant communication and dialogue. And that only occurs when we are able to sit down face to face and have that conversation. So we have to build more opportunities in this county. Through all of the organizations that are represented here, they're building this opportunity for dialogue. And that's why I'm thankful for bringing us in this room today. We have to build those opportunities for dialogue so that we can build an environment where we can move this county forward through investment in infrastructure, through investment in our public safety, and through investment in people that are serving our county each and every day, and picking up your trash and filling your potholes and building your roads and all of the above. So we have to build those opportunities for dialogue.
Well, CEO May, I really appreciate, I know what I'm going to take away is we need to have a regional therapist, a DeKalb therapist. We could
Not
use
my
one.
wife.
Thank you so much for
Well,
your
thank you,
time.
Maria. Thank you.
You're going to stay with us, but you want to
I want to observe with everyone else.
observe with everyone else. So as you're observing, I would like to ask our other panelists to come join us right here. Jason Larry from Stonecrest Alliance, please. Catherine Rice from the building, pick one of these, from the Building Quality Communities. And Jared McDowell, Executive Director of the Lilburn Community Improvement District. Boy, y'all all have your little fan clubs, don't you? What I would like to do, and as y'all are getting mic'd up and, you know, I would like for us to start, and Catherine, since you seem like you're prepared, if you can just tell me a little bit about your community and what you care about and your organization and your vision for economic development for right now. And I want to go down the line fairly quickly so we can get into a conversation. But
I don't think my mic is on, but
I think, you know, that they'll adjust it to when you start talking.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Catherine Rice, and I'm delighted to be here to talk.
Oops, they adjusted a little too much.
To talk about a vision for, and my vision is for South DeKalb. And I just heard Maria talk to CEO Lee May about division. I don't look at this as division. I think there's a reality that the north part of DeKalb is different from the south part of DeKalb. And therefore that means that you have to deal with the two differently. But I look forward to us working together. And I think that if we can improve the southern part of DeKalb to the point where it becomes a prosperous economy, then you put the two together and we have a great county. So we have to deal with some of the issues that are on our side. It just so happens that I wrote up an economic development vision for South DeKalb, and it's on my website at www.buildingqualitycommunities.com. It's written out and it talks about what the vision is, how do we get there, and what is it that we have to do. Many of you are familiar with the conversation that we've been having about the urban redevelopment area and the so-called slum title. But something positive has come out of that, and that is that we realized that there was not a vehicle for a dialogue between the county and what they were doing and we as citizenry. So we began an organization called the South DeKalb Improvement Association. And although I wrote the vision, I think that they would agree a lot with the vision that was written. In short, there are three things about this vision that I think depart from regular, traditional economic development. Number one is that this vision talks about transforming South DeKalb, not in the traditional way, which is that you bring in one company after the other. So if I could give an analogy, if you have a man and a woman, then the woman is trying to attract the man, and so what she does is she shows her assets or tries to make the man aware of what her assets are. And that is how traditionally economic development works. And it's kind of passive in that a local government will say, this is what I have to offer. And then a business, who you can look at as the man, will say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And the way it works, quite often a local government won't even know who the business is. But the business will come in and say, you meet my criteria, but there's 5 others that meet my criteria too. So now I have to get rid of all the rest and choose one. So it's passive in that way. And what I'm suggesting is that we as South DeKalb say what we want. And what we want is we want a first mover, a transforming agent, an innovative company that is large, that will create a facility, that will hire hundreds of people, and that will transform the economy in South DeKalb. Now, is that ambitious? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Is it competitive? Yes. Can we do it? I believe that we can do it because we have so much going on that is so good. We have a major health organization like CDC right in our midst. We have some of the best universities in the Southeast. We have the largest airport in the United States. And the difference between South DeKalb and why we should honor our differences is that right now in North DeKalb it's very developed. In South DeKalb, it's very undeveloped. And that means that the potential for the county actually lies in the South. And so these are the ways that we can sell ourselves. The second part where we depart from traditional...
And we're running short on time. I wanted this to be a kind of brief...
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Shall I finish up?
Well, yeah, if you can make it in the elevator speech version.
Okay, I'll make 2 more sentences. The second part is that, as CEO Lee May said, we need to work together. So we need to find partnerships, and we need to all be committed to this vision to make it work. And the third and last part is that, unlike traditional economic development, I think that we need to have community involvement. Because the things that are holding us and inhibiting us from moving forward are crime, a low educational, poor educational system, an area that doesn't look good, our maintenance is not what it can be, and those are the very, very things that community cares about and that community is primarily responsible for doing something about. So I think that we need to have community involvement. And if you put those 3 things together, which is not traditional, I think we can make a difference.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, Jason.
Jason Larry, Stonecrest City Alliance. Here's what we see from the Alliance, and I want to preface this on several issues so that you all can be very clear about where we stand. One, the first thing I want you to remember, as a taxpayer, as a constituent, as a member of the community, it sits this way. I pay, I say. Flat out, that's where it starts. If you are the taxpayer, you are the person that's saying, because you are paying. The second piece is that in an area where we find ourselves struggling, and I'll call this Southeast DeKalb in this arena, struggling to stay afloat and to sell our wares, it is generally felt amongst the individuals that we are polling in the neighborhood and in our area, in our given territory, is that DeKalb County, although a very viable partner in this situation, they need some help. So how do we do that with regards to helping the county continue their mission and our mission? We are of the opinion, not just the Stonecrest City Alliance, but the people that's inside this particular territory that we're talking about, is under the strong impression that we need to form a city to be able to do exactly those things. What has been a misunderstanding amongst many people, and I hear this often, every seminar, every meeting, individuals will say, well, you're fighting against the county. We are not fighting against the county. We are not trying to fight the county. As a matter of fact, we see the county as a viable partnership in this arena. However, folks, let's talk candid in this room. We have a brand issue. It is very difficult to sell what we are trying to do today. And it's been over a consistent, long period of time. And to be able to sell, and make no mistake about it, that's what we're doing. We're selling where we are. We're going to have to do one of two things: dramatically improve our brand fast, or have an additional quality brand. That's where Stonecrest comes involved. We feel as though that with the addition of a city in the Southeast Corridor, entitled at this point, the city of Stonecrest, we have an opportunity to brand that area and be able to bring economic development from a local standpoint. Four things real brief. One, strong industrial area that we already have in that corridor. Number two, a viable commercial area. Not just Stonecrest Mall itself. It's Panola Road, that corridor, and some other places in that given area. Number three, we already have a strong residential community. And number four, let's not forget, we have a national heritage area with regards to gigantic green space in that particular region. We have things that are different, but same quality, if not better, than Brookhaven, Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, and the same other places. It's just that it needs to be sold and presented properly so that we can draw jobs, so that we can draw economic development in that corridor. And I think that we, if it goes through the way it's, as we envision, that is a partnership with the county and not a deterrent from it.
Okay. And let me hear from you and your CID and
Sure.
what you're trying to.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Again, my name is Gerald McDowell, and I guess I was invited this evening. I got a phone call this afternoon. Somebody must have gone on the DL list. I got called up, and I was over in Beaufort. And I was out there far enough, it seemed like Beaufort, South Carolina, but it was actually Beaufort, Georgia. But I guess I was invited because of my work that I've done for the past 8 years in the community improvement district world. I live in South DeKalb. I came to the Atlanta region in 1984 to go to college. And when I came here, I lived in DeKalb County, and I've always lived in DeKalb County. And then my wife and I moved to South DeKalb back in 1992. So I've lived in South DeKalb since 1992, but probably like most of you, or the majority of you, I had to get in my car and drive about an hour to a job that would pay what we were hoping to make in order to support our family. And that job took me out of South DeKalb. And consequently, I ended up in Gwinnett County back in 2005 working for a community improvement district. And then in 2009, I was hired in the Lilburn area of Gwinnett County to head up the Lilburn Community Improvement District. And I've been running that CID since 2009. A community improvement district is the tool or the entity, from what I've heard so far this evening, that represents everything that's been spoken about. It represents taking matters in your own hands, not waiting for something else or someone else to help you out or to do for you what can be done for yourself. And so a community improvement district is that concept, is commercial property owners willing to pay more in property taxes to pool their resources, and then they leverage those resources to redevelop the area, revitalize the area, and to make the area to become what they need it to be in order for their property to have value and for businesses to thrive. That's what a community improvement district is. And I believe South DeKalb is ripe for a community improvement district. What we want to do, from my perspective, if you allow me to make a recommendation or a suggestion, having worked for CIDs now since '05, we need to follow what CEO May laid out for us. We want to work together. The Stonecrest area, I believe, is an area that can use a CID. The Wesley Chapel area is an area that I believe could use a CID. Even the Candler Road and Gresham area is an area that could use a CID. But I believe we need to work together rather than creating a CID and working against one another in our own communities. We need to be unified. We need to create a vision that unites South DeKalb and allows South DeKalb to work together to leverage its resources in order to become and to be what we all know we have. I don't know if you heard a report from Money Magazine that came out this week where Swanee, Georgia was listed as one of the top places, one of the best cities in America. It made a top 25 list. But shockingly to a lot of people, Lilburn, Georgia was named as the 5th best place to live in terms of affordable housing. And that was interesting to me because that's exactly what we have in South DeKalb. South DeKalb is a great place to live. Lilburn, Georgia is a great place to live. But you have to get in your car and drive 30 minutes to an hour to find a job, to find good shopping, to find good restaurants. And I think the same thing is here in South DeKalb. It's a great place to live. There are good schools in South DeKalb, but we need to develop that commercial base, and we need to develop an environment that would allow for businesses to thrive. And that's what a community improvement district does at its core. It creates an environment with certainty. And in a business community, that's all a business owner or a business is looking for. They're looking for certainty. That they want to know what are the rules, and now they know the rules. They know what rules to play by in order to conduct business. When that is not sure, when they're not sure what the rules are, when there's an instability, that puts a business in a position where they want to find another area where there's more certainty. In a community improvement district, it levels the playing field. I'll close with this. I'm sure we have Mac users out there, and I'm sure we have Windows users out there. And sometimes you create a file in your world and you send it to someone in the other world and it's not compatible. But we have a file type that is compatible, and it's called a PDF. And if you create a PDF, it doesn't matter what world you're in, that PDF is going to work. And that's what CIDs do. They create an environment that will allow a business to come in and work regardless of what world you live in, but it creates a common denominator. And once that common denominator is put in place, it allows for a community to grow and prosper.
In some ways, I'm hearing amazing consensus. In other ways, I'm hearing totally different approaches from y'all. The consensus that I hear is that at least in South DeKalb, you need to not just have a residential environment. You need to have a much more mixed use where there's better retail and obviously whether it be industrial and office, places where people can go to work and create a whole community, a complete community so that people don't have to commute out of the area in order to have a livelihood. I think that is something all of you would agree on.
Sure, I think you have to have an identity attached to it also.
If I'm hearing y'all correctly.
To a certain extent.
Well,
with one condition. You don't want to go to the other extreme where you open the world and you say, whosoever will, please come. You want to create an environment where you put out in the marketplace what you would like to have in your community and what you would like to see developed.
Well, I'm hearing quality from all three of you, so I'm not hearing that you want to, you know, open it up to just any business. I'm hearing that you'd like to, you know, have it step up. But I'm hearing, one, you know, that you go a new economic development strategy, and probably under the existing government setup. One, you go the city route, one, you go the CID route. You know, a lot of these things are kind of different tools, government tools that you have. What are your thoughts about the idea of having a unified economic development or a public-private entity that would go doing the economic development efforts for, that would combine what the chamber and the county and the development authority are doing, which is already in the works. Any thoughts that y'all have about that? Yes, Jason.
I think that works well in partnership with developing the city. Yes, in partnership with developing a smaller government for that particular area that's actually in control of their own tax dollars to a certain extent on that end of it, because once again, we just talked about a partnership on it. And in creating a city, people are under the impression that it's a double tax also. It's not a double tax. It's a shifting of tax revenue from the county to the city. However, there's still to your point, there's still an opportunity for those entities to work together with regards to being able to create your own brand, your own town, to be able to make that happen for that particular segment.
Okay. Any other thoughts that
Well,
you
what I
have
would
about
say, in the CID world, here's what I've seen over the last couple of years. As you move around the region, as you move around the country, you find certain patterns going on. And the new pattern that is out there is public-private partnerships. That's the new pattern that's out in the marketplace. And what we want to do as we come together and have these conversations, and we don't want to talk about the wrong thing. We want to make sure that we create an environment that is consistent with, at every level of government, in every way of life. We want to create that type of community, not one that will go against the grain, so to speak. Because, for example, in the CID world, if we want to bring in transportation dollars, and that requires us to go to Washington, D.C., then we've got to have a plan that is consistent with the plan at the federal level. If it's inconsistent,
and at the regional level,
and at the regional level, and at the local level,
yeah.
and if it's inconsistent, we're going to come back with no dollars.
We
Can
have
I just
about,
add to that?
yeah,
Because
sure.
I don't think, even though the three of us spoke about three different things, there was I don't see inconsistency. I think all three can coincide together. As a matter of fact, I think that's the way it would work in a good world. In what we'd like to see, we want to see diversity. That diversity may be a city, it may not. Hopefully, I think the CID would occur. And with what I was talking about, transforming the economy, I see the CID as being a vital part of that.
A tool that can
And
work.
we could do it within a city or not. We can do it with a public-private entity or not. The point is to have a strategy
Right.
and for everyone to
So
buy
it's-
into that strategy, and whichever way is the best way to get to the point where we can transform our economy. And that's key, because South DeKalb is in a situation where, as I would put it, we're behind the power curve. And so we need to get ahead of the power curve. And we're not going to do that the traditional way, in terms of one little step at a time, one unrelated business at a time. We need to bring in a cluster. We need to bring in a supply chain, or something that's going to lift us up. We need something that's transformational.
We have about time for one or two quick questions from the audience. Who's got the most burning, relevant question that you want to ask? And I'm going to have to, I don't know if we can turn up the lights just a little bit so I can see who's waving their hands the most. I don't see any hands. Come on. Somebody's got to have. Oh, okay, yes. You go. And wait, you're on the panel now, so you're going to. I don't know. Do we allow that, everybody? Yeah. Go ahead, David.
This question is to Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
I understand that you started the Tucker CID and it took 6 months to get that going.
The Lilburn CID?
Lilburn, correct.
Yeah.
What was the step to get that going so quickly?
No, he meant the Tucker CID.
I think, the one that was just recently created.
Liver.
Lilburn.
I'm the executive director for the Lilburn CID. And I was hired in April of 2009, and we officially became a CID in June of 2010. So it took about a year with working, and it took some investments from the Lilburn Development Authority, as well as some investments from private property owners and business owners. And those monies were pooled together, and over the course of the year, we did the work that was necessary to form a CID. So it takes anywhere from 9 to 12 months, depending on the resources that you're working with.
Thank you.
Okay, one more question. Yes.
Yes.
And maybe you can identify yourself. I kind of identified it, David George, there for a minute, but yeah.
My name is Robert Douglas, the president of Creekwood Hills Neighborhood Association here in South DeKalb. I was trying to write out a question, but in my opinion, I think that we
We're looking for a question more than an opinion.
Well, question
Okay.
also.
Okay.
I think, first of all, we need to legislate against any more citizens in our county. Question that we need to ask for South DeKalb is to create no more than 1 to 2 CIDs that would include areas like Panola, Wesley Chapel. I know I'm still not asking a question, but I think what I have to say is important. So I will say it because I'm a taxpaying citizen. We need to first define the boundaries of where South DeKalb is. We need to first do that. We also, like I said, we only need one or two CIDs to include all of South DeKalb. We do not need all of these different divisions that we have here. We need to include
And your
a
question
larger
is?
area. My question is, what will be the strategy for the leaders of South DeKalb to create a more consolidated effort to include all of South DeKalb?
Now, given that each of these folks I was going to throw that to our CEO. How's that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Part of the building consensus, I think, is figuring out opportunities for us to work together. I think what Gerald has mentioned is he talked about the various opportunities for CIDs. He mentioned Stonecrest, he mentioned Wesley Chapel, he mentioned Chandler Road, he mentioned Gresham as well. And I think there can be an opportunity for what we can call a mega CID that can incorporate all of them. Now, it's contingent upon the ability for those property owners or the acceptance of those property owners to be drawn into the boundaries of a CID. Conceptually, I'm in support of that because I think you get a greater impact with that, and then you're not having CIDs competing against one another because the pool of resources is limited. Federal dollars are limited, state dollars are limited, and so if you have one entity vying for opportunities moving forward, I think you're more competitive.
On that note, I think that's probably a good place to close out this panel. And I do want all of us to thank our whole group here. I think we were supposed to close at 7:55, so we have reached. But I do want to thank each of y'all for coming and sharing your thoughts, and CEO May. And at that note, I think we turn it over to Leonardo, right? Are you next, Leonardo?
Well, good
We're
evening.
going to show a video. Now y'all get.
We'd like to thank our panelists for sharing their comments and certainly their passion for DeKalb County. Again, as it was mentioned, I'm Leonardo McClarty, and I'm the President and CEO of the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce. And as Vaughn and others have already mentioned, we are proud to partner on events like this with organizations like DeKalb County Government, the Development Authority of DeKalb County, as Leadership DeKalb as well. Our goal tonight was to generate good dialogue about the future of the county. And again, while I know that it was stressed by some in terms of South DeKalb and perhaps some of the disparities, but again, our goal tonight is to talk about DeKalb County. Because again, as our CEO has touched on, we are one county. We may live in different neighborhoods, different parts, but we're one county. And so our goal tonight is to talk about how do we move DeKalb County forward, as well as how do we garner some of these strong visions and progress for prosperity. That being said, I'd like to thank the members of the first panel again for their thoughtfulness about these issues. In particular, CEO May, who was slid into his administrative role rather seamlessly and is ensuring that, again, business continues smoothly for the county and how we serve our citizens. Now, the next segment of our evening is equally important in that we will now drill down into the actual tools for economic development. We will hear more about statewide trends and where DeKalb County stacks up. We will hear about the actual changes at the county level and what we're doing to add some teeth to the bite that will hopefully allow DeKalb County to become more competitive and fight for prosperity, if you will. Well, before turning things back over to Maria Supporter for the next panel, I want to draw your attention to this short video to further set the stage for our next dialogue. Thank you.
During a time when a down economy challenges all jurisdictions across the country, DeKalb County government is working to protect, preserve, and ensure the progress of this, the third largest county in Georgia. Home to Georgia's second busiest airport, the only federal agency housed outside of the nation's capital, several of the country's leading businesses and organizations, and some of the country's most prestigious institutions for higher education, DeKalb County is undoubtedly a crown jewel of the Southeast region and indeed our nation. That's why county officials have jumped into action to make sure the nation's economic challenges do not threaten the thriving neighborhoods, diverse population, and the vast array of businesses, ranging from small mom-and-pop stores to large corporations who each call DeKalb County home.
The Chief Executive Officer and the Board of Commissioners have made it crystal clear that business and economic development is the backbone of the future of DeKalb County. And so, as such, they both wanted us to look at what can we do to develop new tools and implement tools to assist in the growth of our economy.
While record numbers of unemployment, foreclosures, and closed businesses play out on the national stage, county officials are quickly working to cultivate DeKalb's plan for urban redevelopment, turning DeKalb into the land of opportunity for businesses looking for growth and for residents looking for jobs through the creation of opportunity zones.
This is essentially an economic development tool for DeKalb County that enhances our opportunities to attract new employers to the county.
The creation of opportunity zones brings state-issued tax credits of up to $3,500 per employee for 5 years for businesses who create 2 or more jobs in the designated areas each year. That means the state provides tax credits as incentives to local businesses, while DeKalb actually reaps the benefits of growth and development right here in our county.
Where we live, where we shop, where we play, how does that fit in the 2025 plan? How do we take this year and look at where we are 15 years? Where are we as a county? We move from, farm to suburban to urban. What does that mean as we continue to go into the 21st century?
One thing that will occur is real economic development incentives will be generated as a result of this. Jobs will be created as a result of this, and the county would realize real gain as a result of this.
Ensuring DeKalb County is at the forefront of our nation's economic rebound, the county's board-approved plan to seek the designation of opportunity zones by the Georgia Department of Community Affairs includes 15 areas throughout the county, each selected as a site ripe for development of the future of DeKalb County. Once afforded this shot in the arm, offered as part of the county's strategic plan to continue the evolution and the growth of DeKalb County.
the advantage of opportunity zones is the fact that the business owner themselves actually benefit. So in this case, we have an opportunity to directly impact those businesses and companies that are creating jobs.
In addition to applying for the Opportunity Zone designation for qualifying sites throughout the county, DeKalb has also set into action such proactive tools as community improvement districts and tax allocation districts to further ensure the long-term progress of DeKalb County, positively impacting life for stakeholders of today and indeed for generations to come.
Okay, now we're about to go to round two, and I'm going to switch. We've got 4 people on this panel, and I would love to get our folks up here. David George of Wesley Chapel CID, Luz Barrero, Deputy COO of DeKalb County, already been kind of introduced. I'll move all my stuff over here. Pedro Cherry, Georgia Power Economic Development. And then Mary Ellen McClanahan. I hope that's correct. Is that correct? God, I think I thought I had missed a vowel in there. Okay, as y'all are getting prepared, did y'all enjoy the first panel? Is that okay? Okay, good. We'll try and keep this one lively. And I'm going to start with my buddy here on the left, Pedro. Good to see you. You're in charge of selling the whole state for Georgia Power. Could you give us the good, bad, and the ugly, and you don't have to do it in equal portions, of what it's like to sell DeKalb County? And when you're, if and obviously each company that you're talking to is different and their needs are different and all that, but let's say you've got a prospect and what was it that Catherine said? This is the woman. How's she doing? How are the assets? How does she look? Can you tell us? And hopefully she's not too ugly. Let's start right there. But yeah, tell us about the issues that the DeKalb is facing and what, as it's revamping and developing a new economic development strategy and a whole new economic development effort and initiative, what does it need to be working on? So, yeah, I've given you a little homework here to do.
Yes, you have.
Okay.
Good, bad, and ugly. But actually, CEO May hit on some very good points. When I think about communities around the state and the most successful communities around the state, I mean, he was perfect. He's done it before, obviously, but leadership is what's important. No community can be successful without, strong, diverse, committed, informed, and engaged leadership. And you think about that, I see that here. That's here. We got you had changes in leadership, you had challenges, but that's coming here in DeKalb County.
Now you're saying that's coming here because if I'm as a reporter, I read newspapers and I watch the news and I can say, well, wait a minute. One would say that DeKalb may have been leadership challenged here for some time. You're saying that's not.
No, you're exactly right. And
okay.
One of the other panelists mentioned brand. You're right. Somebody looking at the DeKalb from a third-party point of view, they read the papers. There are some negative things out there. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I do see the positive. We're here. We're very involved. And we do see we see more than what you read in the papers.
Okay.
There's definitely potential and good leadership here. So that's coming to the forefront.
So it's part of building those leaders,
exactly.
or having the strongest leaders that you have getting more airtime or getting us darn reporters to find them, right?
Meetings all over. That's
Okay,
exactly right.
all right.
Well, like I said, leadership comes from all areas, not just government, but private sector, academia, nonprofit. So you need to have that diverse leadership.
Okay.
And once that leadership is in place, and what's implicit in leadership is collaborative leadership. You can have a lot of leaders. They're not working together. That doesn't do you any good. So
how does DeKalb, let's put some grades to all of this. What grade would you give DeKalb for leadership?
You put me on the spot. Let me say this. There's improvement opportunities there.
Okay.
Here's the right direction.
Okay, so this is one of those new schools, right? Where you needs improvement.
Exactly.
Okay, needs improvement.
Exactly right.
Okay.
But after leadership, I like to say, CEO May hit it. You have to have a strategy and a vision, and the successful communities have that. And it's developed. The development of those strategies is by that leadership. The leadership helps develop it, but you have to have the entire community overall involved and buying into that strategy. And you have to assess your strengths. You have to determine what your target markets are. You know, you look at everything from zoning to incentives and how you're going to really grow this community. And after you have that strategy, you have to determine what kind of services you need to support, first of all, your existing businesses and community, and then to attract.
So how's DeKalb doing in all this, the strategy, vision, target market, services? Where would you?
DeKalb's doing okay. DeKalb has improvement opportunities.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. When I think
You're putting all this down there.
everybody can improve.
Okay, I got you.
But you know, just to be frank, when you look at the state, and the state's done very well overall in economic development. We've been very successful the last year and a half. I mentioned leadership. Governor Deal's done a great job. He's very supportive of economic development. But other areas of the state have boomed because they, when I think about the things we're talking about now, they have checked those boxes. They're doing very well.
Right.
But going back to services, those services that you have to have, they vary from education, and we talked about education here, education to infrastructure, gas, water, electricity, having available sites and buildings, retail, housing, healthcare, public safety, all those things come into play and have to be in place.
So what are the areas that DeKalb really shines in that you would say that if, you know, you're saying, hey, DeKalb's great because...
Well, the best thing is to have a great power company supplying electricity.
Given that you supply 90% of the state, you got me. I'm sorry, you got me. Okay.
But DeKalb has a lot, but those three areas we just talked about, you know, strategy, leadership, and services. In our world, one of the other panelists mentioned to it, we call it community development. Or in your business world, you may call it product development. You have to have that before you can go out and market yourselves. Okay. And I forgot which panelist said it, but he was right on the money when he said that. When you can go out and you have that, then when you market yourselves, first of all, you have to market yourselves within your own community. Your own community has to believe in it and what you're selling, right? Before you can go out and offer it to somebody else. And then once you get that, you can go out and aggressively market yourselves to these businesses. First of all, you should make sure you're able to retain your existing businesses. That's job one. And then help those businesses grow and later recruit other businesses. The media puts more of the emphasis on the recruitment of the big businesses, but job one is keeping the businesses you have here safe and having an ability for them to grow and be successful where you are. But and then in the marketing piece, just not getting too specific economic development, but you have to have one point of contact in your community. That's very important when you go to market. Somebody has to know in DeKalb County, who do I call when I'm looking to grow a business in DeKalb County?
So this whole realignment that they're talking about, their economic development strategy of combining efforts between the county and the chamber and the development authority into one, you're thinking that's, if I'm hearing you correctly, where there'd be one entity, that's the way to go?
I would say I'm not very familiar with the details. Well, other counties, it works either way. That could work. Other counties have multiple entities, but they do have one main point of contact. So that sounds like that definitely could work. I'm not familiar with the details of that organization, but
Well, it isn't. It ain't soup yet. Right?
Okay.
It's,
but no matter what, if you have 3, 4, or 1, designating one person to be the DeKalb's face to the economic development community is what's very important. And then once you have that, you're able to go out and market, and then only then when you get the rewards that you're seeking. You mentioned the jobs, putting people to work. You get the capital investment, which increases your tax base, which is great. And most importantly of all, you get a higher quality of life for everybody in the community. So those are the things that the communities around the state that are creating jobs and businesses are growing there. You go down that checklist, they are doing all those things very well. And they sell themselves. When a business is looking to grow in the state, we don't pick a county. At Georgia Power, we are all over. They pick the county. They have a checklist. We try to make sure that they're aware of everything that each county has to offer. And the more you have, the better chance you have of being successful.
Okay. Did y'all got all that down, right? Okay. Mary Ellen, and you also have a statewide purview, and you work a lot with small businesses and entrepreneurship. Can you, from your perspective, kind of give your insight, which I guess, people do focus a lot on the big company coming, but a lot of the latest, the competitiveness initiative and, all the Metro Atlanta Chamber's new plan, and it's looking at actually growing organically from within with a lot of the new companies, startups from here. Can you kind of talk about where you may see, maybe about that in general, and also specifically how you see DeKalb in that framework and what you do?
Well, the word small in small businesses is a misnomer. I wish we could change it to mean something else, because a lot of people think small means, under 5 people, under 10. Actually, 99% of Georgia's companies are considered small. Georgia defines a small business as having under 300 employees and under 30 million revenue, and that's 99% of the companies. So DeKalb probably has those same numbers. Most counties are in the 90% plus that are small companies. So that means that's pretty much your entire economy. So when you say small, please think big. But what we're seeing, sort of in Georgia, for example, I'll do Georgia and DeKalb, there's an abundance of resources in Georgia for the startup, for the growing company. Any size doesn't matter, any sector, it doesn't matter. Knowing who to call is critical. And I'm going to repeat that in several times because it is just so important.
So that one point of contact.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have favorable tax rates in the state. We have business-friendly legislation. Georgia right now ranks number 9 in the U.S. for the best state to start a business. The entrepreneur-friendly program was cited. DeKalb County is an entrepreneur-friendly community. They jumped on it actually when we developed this program, which helps to better equip the leaders to understand resources, to be the best go-to for their small businesses in the county. And I worked with Leonardo and his team, and they were actually number 50 of 129 counties who went through this. So
159?
Only 129 went through the process. So
I'm
I
sorry.
know
I'm sorry. I was like, oh.
But they jumped on it, and
There are too many counties. If we could get 129, that'd be an improvement. Sorry.
But they also conduct a small business summit, which is coming up in another week or so, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing to do. I wish, CEO May, if you could mandate that every business attend this, it'd be great. Okay.
Executive order.
We know that 90% of what entrepreneurs learn, they learn from each other. And the other thing that was cited in that high ranking was the fact that Georgia, mainly Metro Atlanta, has a lot of co-working spaces, a lot of networking places, a lot of gathering places, so that people like you, like entrepreneurs, have people to talk to, have sounding boards. They don't go to the government and ask for help. They will do things in spite of anything and then learn. They say entrepreneurs are cliff jumpers. As they jump, they build the plane on the way down. That's exactly what happens. And sometimes they're under your radar, and you can't help everybody. You cannot. But boy, if you start touting yourself as, you've got a business question, call here, that'll that'll make a big difference. Another great thing is that the growth and diversity of our large companies provide opportunities for small businesses, and a lot of small companies are then, they spawn off from these larger companies. Another thing, DeKalb County is 100%, it has 100% exemption in your inventory tax, and that is a big plus for you. And once you get these opportunity zones, you're going to be up there on that competitive level.
Okay, sounds like you've got some tools in your toolbox to work with. And I'm going to now turn to Luce, who's been kind of masterminding minding some of these ideas. And could you kind of tell us, in your role, how you view this whole economic development strategy for DeKalb, coming in more specifics? I know that we had CEO May kind of give us an overview, but if you can kind of give us the nuts and bolts of it all and how you see it going.
Yeah, be delighted to. And thank you. It's great to be here tonight, to have the opportunity to bring together the members of the neighborhoods, the community associations, the business CIDs, the Chamber of Commerce, Leadership DeKalb, the Development Authority, the county government.
It's kumbaya. We should just all say,
I think it's evidence of the fact that we have decided to tackle the very issue that one of our earlier panelists talked about, which was we want to showcase a new brand for DeKalb County. And this new brand is one that will build upon the initiatives that we have laid out in front of ourselves, and CEO May mentioned those. And so let me detail that. One of them is for the first time, we are undertaking the development of a strategic economic development plan. And this we're not doing by itself. We're doing this in conjunction with undertaking a negotiation process with the Development Authority to build a new organization, a more robust organization that will be able to deliver a comprehensive economic development plan for DeKalb County. So the Development Authority today issues bonds to help businesses and infrastructure projects get financing. Well, in addition to that, they will be able to manage the tax allocation districts. They will be able to manage a brownfield remediation loan fund. They will create a new affordable housing loan fund and many more initiatives. So this new structure, coupled with the development of a new strategic economic plan that is going to garner the participation and engagement of all of you here and many more, is going to be able to help us move out of this place where we find ourselves today into this new place where a new brand for DeKalb County can be born, where, well, we all know that brands are born of the experiences people have with us, with our county, with our companies. So every new experience adds to the brand. What we are saying here is we want those experiences to be highly positive experiences. Every new experience will be a new experience where we are telling our residents, our customers, we care about you. We are pro-development. We are pro-business. We want your business to blossom, to grow. And we're going to do that not just by developing a plan, but we're also going to transform the way in which we do our permitting operations. We're going to overhaul completely the way in which we permit every single development so that it is customer friendly. And we are going to make a commitment to transform the way in which we issue business licenses so people can get a business license very, very quickly, opposed to the experience they have today. So that's what's going to rebuild our brand. That kind of positive experience where every resident, every new business owner comes to us and feels fulfilled, feels that they had a really positive experience with DeKalb County. So now they're going to come and talk to the next business owner about how good it was to come to DeKalb County and get your business license the very next day. And then we're doing something else. We, in conjunction with developing a comprehensive strategic economic development plan and negotiating an agreement with the Development Authority, we're also doing a comprehensive transportation plan. And we believe that all of these together are transformational for DeKalb County. And they're all underway right now. So we are at the cusp of a major change. And we're all really engaged in this process and very, looking at this in a very, very positive way. So the hope and what Pedro was saying, you know, this wave of leaders engaged in this transformation process is what's going to create the well-being and the new experiences that DeKalb County is looking for. So we're really hopeful, we're really making it happen. And you know about the opportunity zones, a new tool. We just expanded the urban redevelopment area so that we can create opportunity zones in all of our commercial corridors. On August 27, as soon as the Urban Redevelopment Agency approves the plan and the resolutions, we're going to DCA so that new job creators in DeKalb County can earn $3,500 per new job for up to 5 years in tax credits. That's real money for every person who comes to DeKalb County to create a new job, real money in their pockets. That's what we mean when we say good transformational opportunities.
Help me out with something. When is the last time DeKalb County did a strategic economic development plan? Does anybody know?
We have, I did a little bit of research to try to find one, and I couldn't find it. I think we have had partial plans of some areas and neighborhoods. We have had livable center initiative plans. We have had master active living plans from some neighborhoods, but we never really engaged in a comprehensive strategic economic development plan like we're doing it now.
So when will we have this document? And I guess it has to go, if you were trying to get a unified vision from everyone in the county, I'm assuming that everyone will have plenty of opportunity to give input.
Absolutely. It's going to be a highly participatory process, so we anticipate that it's going to be about 8 months to a year to complete the plan, which is about a reasonable amount of time to do a plan well done with all the stakeholder engagement that we want to have.
So conceivably, we should bring this group back together in a year.
Love that.
And you can present the strategic economic development plan, and we'll have Pedro grade it.
Yes.
Tell us how they're doing, right?
Hey, it's going to be an A, I'm sure.
Okay, we'll see. No, I thought you were going to say passing or it needs improvement. Okay,
I'm planning to take him out for dinner.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Okay, David, you coming from the CID world, and you're hearing all of this, and the CID, I've always viewed them as we're going to take control of our own destiny and try and, you know, raise our own tax. It's even though it's a quasi-tax, but our own revenue, so that we can invest in ourselves. What are your thoughts about how the county seems to be approaching economic development right now?
There's a saying, and I hope I'm accurate in saying it, that you hold the best for the last.
That's you?
No, wait, let me finish.
No,
let me finish.
I certainly held you to the last.
That is not true. Okay? The best went before me. They are the one with the big ideas, and we need to acknowledge and respect that. I need to give 2 points here. One, Pedro, Georgia Power is one of the best companies around. I will say that truthfully, okay? They always respond and always react quickly, and we appreciate that. Second thing, and I'm going to get to your point. Since the CEO...
I just want to know what Pedro paid you for that.
No, nothing at all. That's an honest, truthful statement, okay? Second, since CEO Lee Mays took interim position as the CEO, he has been actively involved in responding to a lot of the issues that we are faced with. We need to stay in constant communication and let them know what's going on, because we've been having some issues and they're all solvable. Now, to get to your question, Mr. McDowell already answered it, so I don't need to go over that at all. The CID been around since 1984. There are 12 metro areas that have taken advantage of it. They're doing very well. South DeKalb is one of the areas that is not doing anything with it. They started in 2008 with a wonderful lady that's sitting in this room. Unfortunately, there was some situation that they were not able to carry it out. Because of the Western Chapel Curb Appeal Task Force.
Tell us who that wonderful lady is.
No, I'm not going to divulge that information. Because of the Western Chapel Curb Appeal Task Force headed by Kevin Chapman, the president, he's not here, he's at another meeting. And Dr. Rice's organization, we stir some things up. And that's why the CID is becoming somewhat visible now. There's money there available for us to use. We need additional funds. Gerald is an expert. He have launched this. We have a lot of information about CID. I brought everything from 2012, 2013. There's a wealth of information out there. All you need to do is go on the website, look it up, and you can learn everything you need to learn about the CID, understand how it works, and understand the importance and the effect it can have on our county. Your question was answered.
Yes, and I mean, I've been covering CIDs for, y'all don't want to know how old I am, but CIDs are not new to DeKalb County.
No.
They've just been more in the northern part of the county,
Exactly.
which I think when you talk about balanced growth, which is what people haven't mentioned that so much here, but I think that's one of the underlying issues that we're talking about is we do want to have a lot more balanced growth in DeKalb. And what you're saying is the CID is one way to get to that balanced growth.
Definitely.
Okay. Any thoughts that any of y'all have about anything that any of y'all had to say?
Well, I have a last comment to make, and it is that, you know, we're undertaking all these new initiatives in DeKalb County. You know, we have new leadership, we have a new strategic economic development plan, a new comprehensive transportation plan. We're overhauling our permitting operations. We are consolidating our code compliance and inspections division to make it more effective and more efficient. And as if none of that was enough, we are also completely changing our zoning code. For the last 5 years, DeKalb County and the DeKalb County government has been engaged in the process of developing a new zoning code. And those of you who love zoning, and we all love it dearly, and land use, you know how complex, how difficult it is to develop a new zoning code. And we are at the very cusp of having a whole new zoning code. And it is such a beautiful thing, you know.
Poor Luce.
I love
Poor Luce. I love Luce, but whenever she's, anyway.
Hey,
some people think artwork is beautiful, but Luce, it's zoning codes. I mean, I just.
Hey, look, the beauty of a zoning code comes from this. When a layperson like you and I open up the new zoning code, You have a table of contents. You have tables that guide you through the different zoning classifications. You have illustrations that show you what the setbacks are. Well, for the first time, you can really not just read the code, but actually see it, a graphic depiction of what do they mean by a town center? What do they mean by an activity zone? You know, those kinds of things are graphically defined. So if you don't know anything about it, you can easily understand it by reading these new zoning codes. That's what I mean by beauty. You know?
You've got to love her, right? And okay, everybody, you got to love Luz. If she can, you know, turn a zoning code into a work of art, you know, that's something.
Well, I just think that, look, the folks in the zoning division of DeKalb County have worked so hard for 5 years. The commissioners have been engaged in the process, the citizens, the members of the community in the different overlays districts. There have been over 55 meetings about this. And we finally are ready to approve a new zoning code that is beautifully illustrated, easy to understand, well-developed, well-designed, legally compliant with the state codes, the federal codes, the local zoning code. It's just great. So I say we deserve a round of applause.
All right. What grade?
No grade still, no grade still. Everybody's working to get better, but Luz's excitement is great. I mean, the plans that she's articulated are outstanding. The one thing I haven't heard, I want to make sure everybody's aware of is, as prospects, the thing we see the most now, the number one question that companies ask for about now is workforce and education. Do you have the workforce to produce their product? So don't miss that. That's important. Without workforce, you will not be able to grow your community. And so make sure that's in the plan. But things are looking
Well,
bright.
you know, we have these great universities in DeKalb County. Of course, all of us know about Emory, but we have also Mercer, Oglethorpe, so many others. And we have a wonderful DeKalb County Workforce Development Agency that works in conjunction with our different universities and with new employers coming to craft a specific training programs to support their needs. And so, Pedro, anytime you have a company that has any interest in DeKalb County, call us. We are ready.
We will. Not today. Workforce is great. The state has we have the best workforce
quick start
in the country,
yes.
which is great. So obviously that's a strength. But as Maria says, people from the outside, they look at test scores, they look at graduation rates, they look at SAT scores and those things. Those are the perceptions you have to battle. They read the paper. So I'm just putting it out there as something to be wary of.
And I saw Michael Thurman yesterday, and that man is just, I mean, he's such a bundle of energy. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he knows how to accept no for an answer. And so I don't know. I would never bet against Michael Thurman. But anyway, I don't know what the feeling is among y'all, but I'm watching with some optimism.
We're optimistic too.
Yeah. So, I'd like to open it up, but first, I'm just really curious. I want to ask Michael Hightower, from, you know, former Fulton County official now, South Metro area. What are you seeing from what you've heard through both panels, and what question would you ask this esteemed crowd panel?
I would say, I think one of the major points that Pedro and Lou mentioned, let me just say, I love your enthusiasm. But I think one of the keys that they both brought out is that DeKalb has tremendous assets.
This is a beautiful woman.
Yes.
Okay. I love that, Catherine. Where are you? There you go.
And I give you a praise, Catherine. A county like DeKalb has diversity. It has assets. It has leadership. I think many times, anywhere in the country, we all have challenges where we go, Vaughn. But the key here is we have assets, commitment, and leadership. At the end of the day, we can pick a school system in Detroit or LA or Orange County, California, but we have a lot to be proud of here in DeKalb County. I think the panel should talk about, as we look at a brand, my friend over here to my right from Clark College, let's talk about the great things that we have
We're
going
in Clark,
for us.
Atlanta now.
Clark,
I don't
Atlanta, yeah, back in the
want to
day.
date you, but anyway, let's go ahead.
But I do think, good catch. Assets are some of the most important things that we can talk about. So let's talk about the good.
One thing I haven't heard, which to me is one of the strongest assets that I think DeKalb County has, is all its parks and green space. And really it's just something that I think is becoming more and more important to quality of life and what people want today. And I'm surprised that hasn't come up in your economic development, pretty woman list. Yeah, assets. But anyway, that's.
Well, being personally a user of Arabia Mountain and the Panola Park, I certainly have a great deal of appreciation for that. And I happen to think that we have great opportunities for development around those areas. That we have a walking connectivity path around that area that is absolutely gorgeous to walk, and the bike path is fantastic. So I agree with you. That's one of our assets. But we have connectivity to the interstates, great universities,
And
the proximity
MARTA,
to Hartsfield-Jackson, the second busiest commercial airport in the state of Georgia, great MARTA stations, great cities within DeKalb County. I mean, we are blessed, and we are located at the heart of the metropolitan area. What a fantastic location we have. So yes, we're blessed. And I think what we want to do is to tell the world, look, we're ready for business. We're ready to be more friendly, more expedient in the way we issue your permits, your business licenses, and we want to be quicker to respond to your needs.
And you have this beautiful zoning code. Yes. I mean, okay, who has a question for the panel? And if you want to stick a little comment in there too, like Michael Hightower did and some, yes.
Okay, just quickly, what do you think, either of you, or all of you, what do you think is the one specific big opportunity starting out, and maybe even the one big challenge you think we need to understand?
Can you identify yourself and I'm sorry? Thad Mayfield. Okay, want to know what the big opportunity is and what the biggest challenge is for all of DeKalb, South DeKalb. You want to?
Well, really for all of DeKalb, but if you want to hone in on South DeKalb, I think that would be appropriate for this audience.
You want to start, David, and then Luce?
I'm unconventional, not ashamed to say. We have wonderful opportunity in this county. Most people are not aware of it because they don't take time to investigate it, okay? The challenges that we have are obvious. And if we were to take the initiative to try to address those challenges, this would be a wonderful county to live in.
So, I say we have a multiplicity of opportunities, and what is difficult about it is to prioritize them and to choose one in which we can, toward which we can direct our investments. But, in that world of the multiplicity of opportunities, for instance, you have the very famous intersection of 285 and Memorial Drive, where, that's the heart, the center of DeKalb County. And it is close to a couple of MARA stations, close to an institution of higher education, close to a very nice, wonderful park. It has a great opportunity for redevelopment. It's has great access to interstates. So what a wonderful opportunity to transform the heart of DeKalb County into a town center. So, you know, that's just but one example. But we have, you know, many, many of those opportunities. Take, for instance, the Medline area, where you have, you know, the Scott Boulevard and 78, all of that connectivity, great industrial areas to be connected to. We have great, we have Litonia Industrial, we have Stone Mountain Industrial Parks, great industrial parks that are ready for expansion and for business attraction. So we have so many of those. The question is, how do we prioritize and how do we work toward focusing our attention in those changes, in those investments, so that companies who can be best paired with those opportunities can see the opportunities and come to them.
And yet, I'm thinking about what Mary Ellen was saying, that 90% of growth and of businesses that are here are not those that we pair, those that are already here. So I don't know whether focusing on getting the big company to move here is, I mean, what is being done to help grow the, yes.
Well, I think that DeKalb County is big enough and wonderful enough. It needs everything. It needs recruiting new business. It needs, but it desperately needs taking care of your own. And I will say that to every county. It is so important to serve what you have. One of the other hats I wear at the state is that I am a project manager for existing industry expansions, and DeKalb is my county. So I'm here to help you with your strategy if you would like.
Well, that's a good thing to know.
Yeah, but you know, if
you're
they,
the contact person.
Yeah. And existing business, just because they're already here, doesn't mean they're going to stay. Doesn't mean that when they are expanding and they are looking at other areas, they're going to look for the best bottom line, the best business decision for them. The sooner you can get your brand, the sooner you can. I love hearing how you're going to streamline and fix things at the city regarding permitting,
the county,
county, the friendliness, the responsiveness. I think that's going to bid you so well, and then that reputation is going to get around. And I will say too that people outside DeKalb County don't say North or South DeKalb. You locals do, but we don't. If we hear there's rumblings in DeKalb County, it's all of DeKalb County. Okay. So just keep that in mind.
Well, you know, I want to invite everyone to attend our Small Business Summit on August 22nd. It's a full day of workshops, all focused on helping the small business to grow, the small entrepreneur to access capital, to facilitate what Mary Ellen just said, networking, because yes, we agree with you. Entrepreneurs learn from each other and they help each other and they build upon each other's strengths. So we're really excited about this Small Business Summit at the Georgia Piedmont College Conference Center on August 22nd, beginning at 8 a.m. and ending at 4 p.m. with a networking reception with CEO Lee May. So you all are welcome. Bring your small businesses to it. It's going to be a wonderful event.
Yes, you have a question. And introduce yourself too.
Hi, my name is Michelle Pincava.
And I think a mic's coming to you.
Thank you.
Michelle
Pincava.
Pincava. Pincava.
Don't worry about
it. Such interesting names.
Czechoslovakian
Okay.
by marriage.
Czechoslovakia. Okay.
I wanted to tie on to what Pedro said because I kind of think we're glazing over it just a little bit. But education is a huge part of what draws people, or the education system draws people to DeKalb and keeps people here. School board member Thad May, I think, was trying to fish a little bit for maybe that. I'm not sure. But what I would like to hear, not only in times of crisis, is but some sort of collaboration with the commissioners and a CEO, if we still have a CEO, with the school system throughout good and bad, so that it continues to grow and they don't just step in. There was this very gray area leading up to the situation we have today where nobody really wanted to get involved. These are different elected officials. We're not kind of going to step on their toes. And I think that it's critical because companies are looking at the quality of education to provide for their families and their employees' families when they come to DeKalb. And they also need to be made aware by the commissioners specifically in DeKalb County. The school district needs to understand that people stay sometimes for the eclectic areas that their children go to school. And sometimes we have this Gwinnett County model in mind with the school system where the county itself is promoting charming, wonderful neighborhoods. South DeKalb is very proud. Areas in Central DeKalb are very proud. Everybody has their home, their neighborhood, and their community. And I think we need to work together to maybe influence the school system slightly so that they understand that that actually attracts people. People want to live in communities where they can walk their children to school and they can feel safe and be productive. So I don't think we can glaze over that. I think it should be part of the big strategic plan.
And do you have a question?
Yes, are you planning to put that in your plan?
Well, actually, the comprehensive transportation plan is looking into walkability, connectivity, of course, public transit, all of those elements that make a community more livable. So the answer would be yes, but also in the context of the larger strategic economic development plan, a very important stakeholder in this process is our school system. And I agree with you. I just love Michael Thurman and what he's doing. So, you know, I'm optimistic, and I'm in the, you know, rah-rah committee.
You have a question.
No, I'm going to make a statement. I've enjoyed some of the things that you all have said this evening, but I do take a different twist on most things.
Okay. And if you can then twist it into a question too, that'd be great.
My name is Jocelyn O'Neill, and I'm Greater Towers Community Association President. I had the opportunity last year to take a plumber's helpers class. My 15-year-old grandson was not old enough to take the class by himself because they need to be 16. So I took the class with him. I thought it was the most interesting thing that happened because I learned something. I called the people. I said, look, can I bring my 15-year-old grandson? I'll come with him. Of course, he didn't want to go. And when they asked him, why are you here? Because she made me come. But he actually learned a skill. He learned a skill, and I came home, and when my sink started dripping, I told my husband, I can do it. And I actually did it. I did several things. In education, we look for grade point averages. We look for people who've managed to somehow, some way, get GEDs. The community that I live in, I'm challenged with those who have not been successful enough to graduate from high school because of the testing criteria that they have. I want to challenge Georgia Power, Luz Barrero, that we need to do something to come into the neighborhoods that are more challenged economically and academically and do something to help those people. Because now, it's a hard job. It is a hard job. But right now, I'm enjoying all the great challenges and all this stuff that you all are saying tonight, but you're really not hitting to the core where we really hurt. Walmart is killing our simple little mom and pop stores that would train the sons and grandsons to do a job. Big industries. Memorial Drive is a great heart of DeKalb, but you have every 50 yards a light or a lamp with a Georgia Power pole with a light on it. I'm trying to understand, why do we have that? I live off of Glenwood Road in the Towers area. I got a lamp pole, Georgia Power pole, that's every 200 feet that has a lamp on it. In between, I have nothing. I'm kind of insulted by that. Because what it looks like to me is that you have glitz and glamour in a certain particular area with the jailhouse, 2 jailhouses that are there, Then a neighborhood 2 exits away, no lights. Projects where people are killed and shot up because we're economically and socially challenged. We need to reverse some of that stuff. Chamber of Commerce. We need to look at some businesses that will come into an area that's not one that's going to generate a whole lot of revenue. We don't have business areas on Glenwood Road. Okay? We got Family Dollar. We got 15 gas stations within 4.5 miles, 20 little shops that sell liquor and beer and wine and lottery tickets. Come on, let's get rid of the glitz and glamour. Let's get to the real heart of the thing. We need some help in those kind of neighborhoods. I need sidewalks up and down Glenwood Road here where people get killed and hit. People are walking in ruts. They say, well, you're on the 15 or 25, the year 2025 plan. Well, now we look from now to 2025. How many years is that? 12 years? 12 years back, what plan was set to try to make some improvements in neighborhoods that really, really needed, that would make DeKalb County really, really look good if we had some sidewalks in neighborhoods where we don't have a lot of industry. Let's get rid of the glitz and glamour. Y'all are really killing me back here. Reality is there are certain neighborhoods that we need to go into that make DeKalb County really, really, really look good. Is put something where people need. I have people that walk up and down my hill on Glenwood Road, and I have people in strollers. I have people in wheelchairs that go up and down from Columbia to 285 that are actually having to get in the road to go to the grocery store. Come on, let's think about it.
Can I ask you, did your grandson become a plumber?
He has not. He's only 16. But he did get a chance to go to his mother's house and work on her sink that was all messed up. So he did learn. And he really surprised me because I really thought the joker wasn't paying any attention. Okay? And then when the guy gave us, there's a retired plumber who did something. I had to drive from here over to Atlanta, way over into Atlanta to take him to this class. And I was really surprised. When the guy gave us a review, he knew more than I knew. And I was paying attention. So, but he has something because I'll say my grandfather taught my brothers how to put shingles on the house, repair windows, taught them how to do things. Those are skills that don't actually require a grade point average.
Right. We have about one more time for one more question. Is that right? And I see no, we don't. I think we ran out of time, and I'm so sorry. The noose is, blame the other Maria. I'm sorry. Can we all give our panelists a hand? And thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you for spending your evening with us to talk about economic development. Next time it's going to be zoning, okay? Beautiful zoning.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight. My name is Maria Belias. I'm the Executive Director of Leadership DeKalb. You all have heard a lot tonight about leadership. I'm the leadership lady. So if you are so if you have not heard about Leadership DeKalb, these kinds of conversations, the leadership, a lot of the people that you have seen tonight are graduates of the Leadership DeKalb program. As a matter of fact, I'd like to take this moment to ask everyone who has been through the program to please stand. Wow, thank you very much. And we also have in the room the future graduates of Leadership DeKalb. We have members of the class of 2014. If that is you, please stand up. Luce, you're in the class of 2014. 2014, thank you. This is kind of what you all have to look forward to. First of all, you should know that tonight was very much of a team effort, but certainly could not have happened without such a strong and wonderful moderator, Maria Saporta. Take a bow. Thank you very much. We've had a great team effort here with the Porter Sanford staff. They are an incredible bunch of professionals. I have to tip my hat. KP, Erica, David, Milton, you guys have been great. The staff at the Chamber and the staff at the Development Authority have been great partners for this event. Also, we can't do this without our sponsors, Smith, Gambrell, and Russell, Custom Creation Photography, and Celebration Decor, and DC TV, and of course, DeKalb County. I think that's really all I need to say to you guys, because I know I'm holding you up, so thank you very much, and drive home carefully. Good night.